We brought you the bug. We hammered out the hammerhead. One Cobra submersible remains. The Cobra Sea Ray. So the Sea Ray, what is it? The package touts it as a formidable flying nemesis for Cobra. It's a highly armed attack craft that quickly disengages to become a submarine and glider wing. So is it an aircraft that dives or a submarine that flies? How does it disengage and split? How does it recombine? Should it? Does it even matter when the result is this much fun?
It's a two-part toy, that much is obvious. The glider wing can fly, the submarine can submerge. Together they both fly and submerge. Just like the 1984 GI Joe Shark, it is a flying submarine. And like its Joe counterpart, it lacks conventional landing gear and must therefore hydroplane on the surface of the water for takeoff and landing. Like the Shark, it has a central removable engine panel with a well-detailed engine beneath. Fortunately, and unlike the Shark, the Sea Ray's pilot sits upright instead of lying on his belly, and that lends a bit more credibility to the craft's aerial capabilities. I'm not sure how easily one would pilot an aircraft lying down. The split-apart feature is another distinction the Sea Ray has, though one might rather ignore it. The glider wing isn't really a glider at all, but more of a giant jetpack. And in that, it's like an updated claw, but without the sensibilities of landing gear.
The blueprints make it out to be jet-propelled, with a thrust capability of 26,000 pounds, produced by its turbojet engines, which is 1,000 pounds more thrust than the F-15 Eagle, which according to the blueprints is capable of Mach 2. Not sure how I feel about this airframe breaking the sound barrier, twice. But hey, Cobra's on the cutting edge, right? I suppose it may need a big kick to blast it out of the water and into the air. Which also says a little something about the Sea Ray's pilot, Sea Slug, who happens to man the glider by sandwiching himself between the jet exhaust nozzles. Yep, this guy's got big cojones. Big purple balls. The front end becomes a dedicated sub, leaving the thrusters behind and bearing more than a passing resemblance to Sly Rax's Piranha from the Mask toys. You know Mask, that other 80s cartoon? The Bug deploys a breakaway sub, the Hammerhead deploys like 5 of the things, but there's not much separating Decimator's black command pod from the Sea Ray sub. The
problem with the splitting feature is that both halves become greatly impoverished in the split. The hang glider loses its cannons, and the sub loses the bulk of its missiles. And how would the two then reunite? Will the hang glider pilot be crushed? No! The vehicle is designed with a specific recess for the figure's head, and another recess for a sneaky diver to ride on the bottom of the craft. Yet another similarity with the Shark, the ability to have 2 divers hitch a ride. I'd say this craft is designed as a coastal waterway attack vehicle, using its submarine stealth to stalk a target before launching out of the water and swooping down to deal some death from above. For this task, it is well equipped. It is armed with 8 air-to-surface missiles and 2 30mm sealed combustion cannons. What does that mean? The ammunition is fired using pressure created by hot expanding gases. Perhaps this allows the Sea Ray to fire underwater.
I'm coming home!
Sure, muzzle velocity and accuracy would be drastically reduced, but at least it has some underwater weaponry. And the fact that the cannons swivel up and down means that this craft can fire from a shallow seat upwards at ship hulls and shore-based targets.
The Sea Slug file card also offers us insight into the tech that makes the Sea Ray effective in its role. Apparently the Ray is coated with a rubberized damper that sends back an extremely indistinct bounce on all known sonars. It is also equipped with a noise generator that can mimic the sounds produced by a humpback whale. It has almost no heat signature and sits low in the water when on the surface. So, safe to assume the sub is pretty hard to spot, until it's too late. Which is the way it should be, as the Ray doesn't look like it could take a lot of hits. So what is it lacking? Answer: an air-to-air and sub-to-sub capability. All its missiles are air-to-surface, and so there is no versatility in what the Sea Ray attacks, ground vehicles and ships. and how the Sea Ray attacks by launching into the sky. It could engage targets like helicopters with its guns, I suppose, but it would be hard-pressed to take out, say, anything faster than a Skyhawk. It is seriously lacking an underwater weapon such as a torpedo or two. If a shark happened upon one of these craft under the waves, it would have 2 shots at torpedoing it, to which the Ray would have no reply. I also wished it had conventional landing gear, as that would improve its versatility, being able to launch and land at inland bases.
As an aircraft, the Sea Ray can't be too maneuverable. It has no vertical stabilizer, or tail fin. No ailerons, elevators, or any control surfaces that I can see. Its ordnance is carried on top of its wings. The wings are stubby and thick. Perhaps all the thrust that it packs is used to keep the craft in a Harrier-like hover. Like a Skyhawk, for instance. It's probably not too light on fuel if that's the case. Apart from sneak and shoot type missions, I reckon you would want a couple of Sea Rays to function as close air support for a hammerhead or bug formation. Extremely close air support, in fact, as this craft can stay with you even as you disappear beneath the waves. It rounds out Cobra's aquatic attack force, a theme that we see as early as issue number 8 of the Marvel Comics, where Cobra showcases an impressive array of amphibious craft. And Hasbro's toys seem to play catch-up to these fanciful Herb Trimpe designs ever since they exploded onto comic pages in early 1983.
Something must be said about the Sea Slug troops. They are chosen from the eel ranks to pilot the Sea Ray. That tells me that this is a marine craft first and an aircraft second, or an air viper would be a more logical selection. They are purple with some flair that steps outside of the modern army action figure realm and into the realm of the supervillain.
He has wraparound red feelers on his helmet that make him look like a contender for the name Mothman. He has short sleeves and enormous muscle. Yep, this guy lifts. And weirdly ornamented shin guards. The Sea Ray vehicle logo is tampographed onto his enormously muscular chest. Yep, this guy definitely lifts. I think this figure is best summed up as a reject Flash Gordon baddie. I guess you might easily imagine him as a citizen of Cobra La. Cobra La 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 La. Okay, I'll stop. At least the cockpit is big enough to house his bulging physique, and as a bonus, can hold most modern era style Joes as well. A Defense of Cobra Island lamprey looks very appropriate manning the Sea Ray. Sea Slug comes with a single accessory, a sexy looking silver ray gun looking thing. But don't laugh, these nasty barbs make it the ultimate pistol whipping weapon to maim your enemy good.
The seat is textured, and there are a pair of thin joysticks and not much else. No instrument sticker or HUD, which is a pity, and something that made for a really cool feature on both the Firebat and the Mamba. The bar on the canopy glass is prone to stress, and a sagging bar and a cracked off locking tab will prevent the canopy from locking down securely. Which sucks for a flying toy, as any inverted flight puts your operator at risk. And when underwater, the swell may carry your canopy away. And in terms of frailty, you have to be careful with the separation feature, obviously. There is definitely a knack to it that must be observed. Take off the removable engine cover first, swing out the bottom tab before lifting the top 2 tabs out of position. Do it in any other order, you'll be as much of an idiot as Steve. Steve got this as an adult, but only really figured out a safe way of securing it while scripting this review. Cracked tabs were the price paid for his stupidity.
Thanks, Rob. The Sea Ray got 0 comic appearances. It got 0 cartoon appearances. But it did make appearances in both GI Joe and GI Joe 2 The Atlantis Factor for the Nintendo Entertainment System back in the early 1990s. In GI Joe 2, it flies past in profile, dumbfiring its missiles across the level, forcing you to jump over them and risk taking damage by hitting the Sea Ray itself. And in the first GI Joe game for the NES, the Ray is a mid-level boss. It is presented in a more top-down view, hovering above your character and deploying its deadly missile payload in sequence at you. If only it could bring its guns into play, that would have made it far more of a challenge.
Overall, the Cobra Sea Ray is a fantastic submarine/hang glider hybrid, and a welcome addition to Cobra's seafaring motor pool. If nothing else, the separation feature is great for battle damage, regardless of what you may feel about its practicality. Like all aquatic Cobra and Joe vehicles, they really shine when you take them out on maneuvers near some open water. This review was a real joy to shoot, and the Sea Ray is one fun, multi-purpose vehicle. Emerging, flying, blasting, diving, to hell with the frisbee. Keep your beach bats. Leave the football at home. Just give me some sunblock and a Sea Ray and I'll be all good, baby.
GI Joburg hopes you enjoyed this review. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see our future reviews, smash that subscription button. Don't forget to ring that bell to make sure you're notified when we upload our new videos. Yo Joe!